Lads, lassies, welcome back to the YouTube. I hope you're all staying well, I hope you're safe, and I hope some of you are able to get out wakeboarding, because I've seen in America you're still able to wakeboard if you have a house on the lake. Nonetheless, this is another podcast style video. It's with Dave AV. If you don't know who he is, you've definitely seen some clips from him before. He's literally the best drone pilot in wakeboarding and arguably in probably some of action sports as a whole. But anyway, it was good to catch up with him, hear how he went from basically being an accountant to now a full-time drone pilot. So enjoy the podcast. If you do enjoy these type of videos, give us a comment, let us know what guests you want next. Like the video because it helps, and thank you so much for watching. All right, I'm pretty sure we are live. Dave AV, Dave Avalero, how are things? You're out in the States at the moment.
What's up, man? Sorry, say again?
You're out in the States at the moment?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I missioned it to Orlando. I was pretty lucky to get in, to be honest. I was in the Philippines basically, and we obviously the whole coronavirus situation started to kick off, and I actually at first they shut all the airports where I was in the Philippines. So they overnight the government just said, right, airports are shut, no one's leaving. You're here for at least a month, and I mean, luckily I was with good friends. I was at the Cable, so like I could have been in a much worse situation, but like still I didn't really fancy being stuck in the third world for like however long, and you don't know how the situation's going to pan out, right? So we're starting to get a little bit sketched about it, but fortunately they opened the airports back up, and I had a flight going back to the UK, so I was going to take that, and I was like, obviously the situation also in the UK is not so great right now. Everyone's on lockdown. And I thought I can either go home and just be stuck indoors for like however long, or I can try and mission it to Orlando and just see if I can, keep on filming and hopefully ride a bit. And yeah, luckily it all worked out. So I'm
and you
here.
Got in. Had you planned to go to Florida at that time, or was it just?
No, because I right now I would have work back home and in Europe, and obviously like starting to get into the comp season. So that was the original plan. I mean, that's the real hard side to all this, is that all the competitions are cancelled, and that's kind of my bread and butter with the filming and everything. So kind of gonna wait and see how that pans out for the rest of the year, but yeah, so suddenly I've got like a pretty free schedule, and I'd been planning to shoot a bunch with various guys out here. So it just kind of made sense to try and get some of that done, and just just keep putting stuff out, really.
Yeah, and obviously you're in Orlando, and there's so many like places, and it seems like from what I can see on Instagram, everyone's still riding and actually going out on their boats. Apparently the lakes are like flat out busy, are they?
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of funny. Like a lot of the guys have been saying, like they'll be in these like lakefront properties, and a lot of people have boats, and they have the lake there in their back garden, but they never use them. And now because everyone's kind of stuck at home, and technically you're just going out into your back garden. There are different rules with boats as well. I think that you can have like a maximum of 10 people on the boat, without it's not the same like social distancing rules. And obviously it's pretty chill. If there's only a couple of you on the boat and one guy's being towed, you're not really causing any risk or whatever. So yeah, a lot of people are going out on the boat, and just it's definitely a pretty good place to be stuck, I'd say.
Yeah, and it's perfect time for you to work on your boat career.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I've been riding a lot because all the cables shut pretty recently. So OWC was still open for a while, and then that closed. So I went to Elite. They had a couple more days, and they've closed now. Pretty much everything is closed. The last one that was open was Valdosta. So I'm staying with John Drayling at the moment, and we missioned it up to Georgia just to go and catch the last day at Valdosta before they shut. Unfortunately now like no cable, but yeah, it's a good chance to get into the boat stuff, and I'm loving it, man. I really enjoy it. So I'm no good, but
no,
I enjoy it.
I mean, I tell you what, there is no way. I just saw your Instagram clip you put up like an hour or two ago, and I reckon half the pro wakeboarders in the world can't do one of the tricks you did, which was a switch tantrum. Isn't like that's so hard?
Fair enough. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I've always kind of like really tried to focus on doing switch and regular, and that's definitely something I honestly, like, from when I first got into wakeboarding, which wasn't that long ago, you know, I was binge watching all your videos and you know, and seeing the other stuff that come out from Murray and whatever was available basically, and everyone was like, you know, switch and reg, you know, go try and do everything, like get your fundamentals on both sides. And I feel like, I don't know, I really I really respect anyone that can do everything like as well, switch and reg. So it's something that I've always tried to do with my own riding. Like I'd rather, you know, I'd rather do that than banging tricks or whatever. I'd rather focus on like being able to do everything both ways. So, and the boat's really nice for that because it's like you can just do everything in lines and just go back and forth, and you know. So
it's not like an
good,
obstacle set to one side, like a
exactly. Exactly.
I think that's what I wanted to talk about so much. Is like, and I don't even really know it as well. It's like, because you obviously you said there like you haven't started wakeboarding all that long ago. I think we met like maybe at the very beginning when you started wakeboarding. But how did what was okay? First, like just wakeboarding as a hobby. Let's talk about that first. Like, how did you get into it, and when did you get into it?
So, so what happened is my a friend of my girlfriend at the time just said one day, like, "Oh, hey, do you want to go wakeboarding?" And literally, all I knew about wakeboarding before that was playing Wakeboarding Unleashed. And you know, I was like, I played a lot of video games as a kid, which actually kind of ended up helping with the drone flying. But it's you know, so that was really my only experience of wakeboarding, and I played like, you know, Tony Hawk's and all that sort of stuff, and like didn't really think about it any more than that. And then yeah, this dude said, "Oh, do you want to come ride?" And it was behind the boat. We've got a lake like fairly close to my house. And so I said, yeah, why not? And literally, like, I don't know, I just fell in love with it, man. Like as soon as I went out there, like just the adrenaline and like I was into free skiing before I got into wakeboarding. So I'd never really done any board sports, like no skating, nothing like that. So I was used to like going like straight forwards as well, which is another thing I think has helped with the whole switch and reg thing, because I didn't really have like a natural foot so much. Like I'm left foot forward, but like it never felt that different going right foot forward or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, started riding boat. As you know, it's super expensive, and yeah, I couldn't really do it a whole bunch, but we were going out maybe like every couple of weeks or something. And then yeah, basically shortly after that, I tried cable. I went down to South Coast Wake Park, which is where a lot of my old like wake videos are filmed, and obviously you came down and
great spot.
and we did one. Awesome place, but yeah, so I went and tried that, and that was when it really clicked. It's like the first time I remember turning up, and I was just gonna like go up and down and just, you know, try and work out how to do the corners or whatever, because it's obviously a bit different coming from the boat. But the kid down there, he's I forget his name now, he's moved on, but he said, "Oh, why don't you hit the kicker?" And I was like, I don't know. Like I remember being like super sketched about it. He's like, no, do it. I was like, okay, which one? And like, because they had a smaller one and a big one. He's like, the big one. And I'm like, oh no, like this dude's just like, you know, he just wants to see me like face plant or whatever. But he was like, no, like that's way easier. And of course it is, you know, you get a bit more airtime. It's a little bit more comfortable rather than hitting some like tiny little wedge thing. So I did it, and like literally from that moment, it was just like boom, like, and then yeah, started riding rails and just haven't really looked back since. Now it's like my whole life pretty much.
Yeah, it's crazy, and that's kind of because I met you then, and maybe you can elaborate on like the time scale of this, but I met you in Extreme Gene, if I'm not incorrect. Am I?
That's right. Yeah.
And that was probably like 5 years ago now. Maybe not even actually.
Yeah,
it couldn't be 5 years ago. It's 4 years.
4, I think. Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah. So then,
and that was like when I just started.
Yeah, you just started, but you're riding boat, but as well, like you're only like getting into like, let's say, film. I didn't even think you'd flown a drone at that stage, had you?
No, that's right. No, so I got my first drone. That was like 3 years ago. And yeah, I think like I just got like a camera, and I've got to look through my old hard drives, man, because like you were there, I think like the first day at Extreme G, maybe the first
and George Gill as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I actually got some clips of you both, so I got to like dig through it and see if I can find that, because that'd be pretty wild. But yeah, so hadn't even. I mean, I definitely thought about buying a drone. Like I wanted to get one for years, but it always just seemed like something that was going to be like an expensive paperweight. You know, like they cost a lot of money, and I thought like, what if I only fly it like 2 times and then never use it again? It's just like
which is what most people do.
Yeah, exactly. I think that tends to be the way that people go with it. So like I was like so on the fence about it, and then when they brought out the first Mavic, that was the first time that it was sort of like reasonably priced, and there was like a big hype around it, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna get it. Maybe I'll try it with the whole wakeboarding thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and then
So,
you're a really interesting case of like, because I'm gonna go ahead and obviously there's many strings to what you do, but like you would be in my mind, I would class you as like definitely like a professional wakeboarder in some way, shape, or form. And now I think that term's so
fair
broad. It's not just
enough.
competitive wakeboarding, but most pro wakeboarders, including myself, grew up into it. And like maybe I'm an outcast in that I didn't grow up in the States, but I grew up around it and I did it as a child. And I took a lot of the heavy hits when I was a child, which also helps a lot. But so many people then think if you're like 20 or 21 or 22 that you can't get into it, you can't make like a career out of it. But you fully did. It's like when I met you, you were an accountant, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So I was just working some boring office job basically, and yeah, I mean, I always kind of knew that it wasn't for me, but like I couldn't really see a way out. And it's like, you know, you got to earn some money. So basically, like as soon as I started getting paid to do competitions, and you know the drone thing started like taking off for me, I was like, I'm just gonna do it. Like even if like it doesn't work out long term and I can only do it for a couple of years, like, you know, why the hell not? I mean, like, back to the pro wakeboarder thing, like I definitely wouldn't consider myself a pro wakeboarder. And in a way, like I'm almost happier with that because it's like I don't have the pressure of having to like constantly progress and like, you know, win
Yeah.
competitions or put out video parts, but I still get to ride every day and do what I love. And I get to, you know, film with like the best wakeboarders in the world. So yeah, I couldn't be more stoked with like how things have worked out, honestly.
Yeah, and it seems as well, like you said, like even if it doesn't, you can't do it for years to come. Like definitely from what I've seen, like obviously I've been to certain places with you, but even on social media, you look like you're really enjoying it. And you probably have that perspective that not a lot of like people who came up through the system, for want of a better word, have, which is like you know what it's like to have that 9 to 5, like a real job as such, for want of a better word, and which definitely pays off. And how did you like? So you said like you made the switch when you were starting to get paid to do some competitions and stuff, but like, was that scary or was it like just a no-brainer?
I mean, like, I guess, yeah, the first time I did Plastic Playground, I mean, so Stu, the guy that runs the whole thing, shout out to Stu, but he took a massive chance on me, and just, you know, I showed him some of my work, and he was like, yeah, be stoked to like to get you down and film the comp. But you know, it's like suddenly I've gone from flying around like my mates down at South Coast to like being at Liquid and filming like, you know, the best wakeboarders in the world. And like for sure that was like, yeah, it was scary. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked back, and now it's like I've done so many that it's like, you know, it's just, and it doesn't. I was gonna say it's just work, but it never feels like work. You know, like I'm just
Yeah.
having the best time. But yeah, like it's you get into your routine. I know what I'm doing, and yeah, just I try and just enjoy it as much as I can. You know, I'm
Yeah.
still there. Like I'm obviously like I'm focused on just trying to make sure that I get a good shot and that everything runs smoothly. And obviously with the competition, there is a lot going on. There's a lot of pressure. But at the same time, like, you know, I get a few moments where I get to like take it all in and be like, damn, you know, like I'm hyped for like just to see what goes down. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly. You're watching it firsthand. And have you ever hit anyone with the drone?
no, actually,
Really?
no, that's a lie. Right, so so this is a funny story. So like an additional thing with the whole excuse me, with Plastic Playground. So I'd shown Stu some of my footage, and he basically said, right, okay, like yeah, I'd be so for you to do it, but get some footage at our lake, you know, like go fly around Liquid. And this was the first time I'd filmed full cable as well, right? So I just turned up and I didn't even know anyone, you know, like I just rocked up and just like kind of looked around, saw who was ripping, and there's a kid, Max LePage, shout out to him as well. So I just saw him shredding the cable, and I was like, dude, do you mind if I film you with the drone for a bit? I just got to get like a couple of clips. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'd be stoked. So start flying around with them, get a load of good stuff. Well, I mean, now, like, I think if I look back at it, it was probably terrible. But like, you know, it's like at the time
Yeah.
I was stoked. Got some good clips. He falls and he comes back, and I had one more battery left, and I was like, well, you know, I've got another battery if you want to keep going. He's like, yeah, dude, yeah, sure. So we go out, and yeah, halfway through, like basically the signal cut out, and it does this sometimes. Like anyone that's flown a drone, like you know yourself, like sometimes it just loses signal, and that can be like for like a fraction of a second, or it can be for a long time. And I think it cut out for like 4 or 5 seconds, so it just went complete black screen.
But that feels like an hour in drone flying.
Yeah, fully. And so I'm like, okay, like I'd kind of got used to, like, I'd flown a bunch by this point at South Coast, and I was getting used to it, but I was still pretty inexperienced, you know, like I'd only had the drone like 4 or 5 months or something. So yeah, I was still trying to figure the whole thing out. And I thought, okay, so it had cut out, and he was in the middle of the lake, and there's like some pipes over here, and over on the other side you've got like another feature, and then the middle island with a bunch of trees. And I was like, right, what's the safest place? Because you can still fly it when the screen goes black, obviously. You just can't see anything. And I was like, right, if I move over to like past where the pipes are, based on where I remember it was, then I should be pretty safe, and hopefully it comes back. At the exact same time that I do that, he decides to go for an outside in hit on the pipe. So he's like cut super wide. The screen comes back on. I'm over the other side of the lake, and I just literally see a flash as it hits his leg and then drops in the lake.
Oh.
And it's like, so not only have I lost my drone, but I was thinking, well, like, you know, all the guys running plastic are just going to think I'm an idiot now. Like, there's no way that I'm doing that anymore. And yeah, so long story short, basically, like Max killed it as well. He just dropped the handle, and he was like, I ran around the other side of the lake, and he's there, and he's like, dude, I stopped, like the drone's right down here. I had to get someone to like go and scuba dive for it, but I managed to like recover the SD card, which still worked, and like got all the footage. And I didn't even bother like talking to Stu about it. I was like, oh, whatever, like there's no way that I'm doing this now. Got the clips, made a little like Insta thing for it. And then the next time that I happened to be at Liquid, I walked in, and Stu's like, dude, like I saw your clip on Insta, everyone's talking about it, like this is sick, like you're definitely coming and doing plastics. And that's kind of how the whole thing started for me. But yeah, that is the only time I've ever crashed into anyone, and yeah, touch wood. But
Wait, so you've only had one drone crash?
So total crashes, I think like 4 now.
I've had like 12, and I don't even do it. I actually have. I've had 4 or 5 drones, I think.
It's pretty easy to do. The dumb thing is, like, besides that first one when I was like super inexperienced, like it's never when I'm actually following anyone. Like I pride myself on, like, you know, one of the main things besides like never sort of like missing the shot is like I never want to be in a position where like I hit someone, because I don't want the rider to be thinking about that while they're riding, you know. I want
completely.
You to be totally relaxed. Like I've been filmed by guys with a drone, and definitely been in that situation where I'm like, oh, like I'm thinking more about them than my riding, and that's obviously not what you want as a rider. So yeah, I mean, like that is something that I really, you know, try and never do. But what was I saying? So yeah, like, sorry.
No, you're fine. You were talking about crashing the drone, and you were saying you've crashed without actually flying into someone, like you're
that's it. Yeah. So yeah, it's never actually following anyone around. It's always dumb stuff. Like I'm trying to get a scenic shot of, like, you know, the lake, and I've backed up into trees before, and just, you know, stupid stuff like that, which seems like a real like rookie thing, but it's like, you know, like, yeah, I was on like a really good streak up until recently, and I actually, to be fair, I say 4, but the last one just kind of dropped out of the air. I think maybe it had like a battery malfunction or something, but like basically I was following along, and it just suddenly just died. And the guy on the carrier before saw it, and he said, yeah, literally it was going along and then just dropped out of the air. So I think that was more of like a technical malfunction. But
yeah, that's pretty good. That's insane. I've like, for example, last summer at this stage, I have a decent amount of drone experience, and I collected. It wasn't brand new. I bought a secondhand, thankfully, off my friend, and never flew it ever in Ireland. Went to America. I was flying, and I was getting some like cool shots as there's like a load of Centurions lined up, I was getting like a cool drone shot of that, and there's loads of people around there. Like I was like a guest at this event, and loads of people like watching me fly it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a cool backing up shot with like a big scene, just straight into the trees, bang, broken arm. It cost me like €250 to get repaired. I was like, oh my god! And even now, I have a Mavic Pro, and something's wrong with the gimbal. I don't know. I'm just a disaster with them. But yeah, and then but like luckily for you, and I think this kind of happened last summer. Now you've kind of got a thing going on with DJI. Like you're working for them or flying for them, or how's that whole thing?
Yeah. So basically, I'm like, I think what's the technical term? It's like a content partner, I think they call it. So basically, I produce content for them, and they pay me to to sort of showcase their products. So it's like a contract based thing. But yeah, like they'll basically get in touch and say, we're launching this product and we want to get some promotional videos. And they've been pretty good as well about, obviously most of the stuff I do is wakeboarding. I've done a bit of like, kiting and snowboarding and other sports, but they're pretty happy for most of that content to be wakeboard focused, which is great in two ways. I mean, one, it means that I can do what I know and what I love. And also in a way, hopefully it helps showcase wakeboarding to people
100%,
that like, wouldn't see it otherwise.
That could be an oversight of like not getting any footage of wakeboarding. And because it's also a difficult thing, I think, to film. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's cool. And so how long has that been going on for?
When did that start? That's nearly a year now, actually. Yeah. So it's pretty much when I got back from Asia last year, just as I was about to like start doing all the comps and everything.
Have you ever tried any like the glasses that you put on and you like virtual reality glasses? Sure. Have you flown with them?
Yeah. I have, yeah. I like it. The thing is, especially when you're doing competitions and that sort of thing, but even just normal filming, it's nice to have that awareness of like what's going on around you. And I'm constantly like bringing the drone in and catching it, like taking it out again, swapping the batteries, and also constantly having people come up and talk to me, which when you've got the goggles on is like super disorienting. You've just suddenly got this voice and you're not even aware someone's there. And it's like, for me, I prefer to do most of the stuff without those. But they are sick. Like, have you used them at all?
I've never used them. No, never. I've done it with, I was at Munich Mash last year and they brought, it was like a Red Bull. I was there with Red Bull and they did they had like a guy, I think his name was Mac PV. Is it PV? What's the PV or what's the?
Yeah, FPV is like what?
FPV, yeah. So he did it. I didn't like, I looked into them, but like it looks pretty, I mean, it's pretty insane. They're like flying through trees and stuff, but like, I don't know. I don't know if I like the footage off them as much as just a normal drone shot. Like the way it tilts and stuff isn't as good.
That's always been my thing, is like, and a lot of people have asked me about that, about like flying FPV. So I fly like race drones just for a bit of fun, basically. There's nothing like it, just like ripping around the trees and doing all that sort of stuff. But from a filming perspective, like I just way prefer that kind of like stabilized cinematic footage.
Yeah.
And having the horizon constantly tilting, I feel like it's cool for maybe like a short clip on Insta or something like that, and you can look at it and be like, wow. But at the same time, it's like, I want to showcase the riding, not like how well I'm flying.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's about like, it's filming first and foremost, and the drone is just like my tool for that. And I feel like with a lot of those shots, like one, you can start feeling sick pretty soon because it's just constantly like, and then the other thing is like, you're not really focused on the rider. You're more going like, wow, sick drone shot. But like, that's not kind of what I'm going for, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
exactly. And what about the whole, like you said, they like normal filming and stuff, and has the whole social media thing, I mean, you've grown a decent following and relatively fast if you look at it. And you've like, I was looking on Instagram, like you probably have one of the highest Instagram followed accounts in wakeboarding. I know you do other stuff, but in wakeboarding you probably do. And like you do YouTube
definitely
as well.
In terms of like real followings, anyway. I know there's a lot of people with some pretty inflated numbers out there, but I guess which is really cool. Like it's I don't know. I'm stoked that people are enjoying what I'm putting out, and it's great. I'm always getting like messages along those lines, like people saying that it's kind of like they've seen my stuff and it's inspired them to get out to the lake, and that's like the best thing that I could hear, honestly. Like that sort of stuff like really gets me stoked. So yeah, it's great. It's nice that people are vibing with it.
And I'm sure it's like snowboarding now. So like at the beginning, well, you said like Max was willing to film straight away, but I'm sure at the beginning it was more difficult, and now I'd say people are almost lining up to go shoot with you and like get that content.
It's Yeah, it's honestly like it's still kind of weird to me in a way. Like when I first came to Orlando, which was only back in September, so I came out for Expo, which obviously got cancelled.
Yeah.
But I'd sort of come out planning to shoot a bunch of boat because we'll get onto that in a minute because like, my first time filming boat was actually with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I hadn't shot a whole lot of boat stuff, and I really wanted to do it because again, like I started behind the boat, and I love it just as much as the cable, and I think it's great to showcase like every aspect of the sport, right? So I definitely came out planning to shoot a bunch of boat, but I didn't know if any of the boat guys even really like knew who I was or what I was doing. So I kind of figured it might be a little bit difficult to to do that. And so some of them, like guys like Dylan or Gunther, like they obviously do both. And so like I kind of, already knew those guys, and they were super stoked to shoot. But the sort of like the pure boat riders, I didn't really know how that'd go down. And then I turned up, and yeah, everyone was like just so welcoming and like and stoked on like getting some footage with me, which yeah, it was really dope. But it's still like kind of trippy to me, honestly. Like
yeah, like you're out with Murray and stuff as well, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was like I don't know. I couldn't have been more hyped, honestly. And I mean, you've done a bunch of stuff with him. He's just like the nicest dude, like he
yeah, just
like,
such a good guy.
Like some people will have that personality, and that's like the face that they put out, but you don't always know that someone's going to be like that in real life. And he's genuinely just like the nicest dude I've ever met.
Yeah,
and he just
crazy.
said like, come over to shoot, and
yeah, it's so good. And then who have you been shooting with this last week or so, or this last few weeks?
So a lot of people actually. Like yeah, I've just done a bunch of stuff with like Gunther and Megan. I've just been out with I don't know if you know Jake Ramsdell, the wake skater, but we've been filming a bunch of stuff.
Name's familiar.
Dylan again. Yeah, he rips, man. He absolutely rips. And then who else have I shot with lately? Oh, did a bunch with like Luca and Tyler Hyam. And Mitch Wise, who's my boy from the UK. So yeah, I've been all over the place really, and I've got loads and loads of stuff lined up. So yeah, I'm just trying to get after it while I'm out here, man. I mean, not a whole lot else to do with the whole Corona situation. It's not like there's much partying going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to get on it really.
Yeah, and how is it? Let's say you said a minute ago that I was the first person you flew the drone with. True honor on the boat, but how's it going now? Like, how have your skills? Do you think that they got a lot better with it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was the really funny thing is I looked back at some of that footage a couple of weeks ago just to kind of see, like, I was interested to see like what the progression was like. And it's funny, you can definitely see that first set where I was filming you. And to be fair, we turned up and it was the windiest day ever. Like,
windy, rainy, crammed. Like we had to fit the whole thing in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, because you were
on a small lake.
And I was just trying to in between. Yeah. So it's like conditions were not prime, but basically, regardless of all that, you can just see that like I'm trying to film it cable style, and trying to like film in the same way that I would, just like sticking close behind you, and then trying to like maybe swing around a little bit. But it just with the boat, it's so completely different, and I've kind of like I've started to figure that out. I mean, for one thing, it's a lot faster, so you've got to be really on it. Like most of the time, I'm maxed out in terms of the speed of the drone. So like a lot of your like input into the sticks is like 2 seconds before the thing has actually happened. Like you've really got to like predict exactly.
Yeah, because although it's a live view, it lags. It's like a second or 2 seconds, like you said. That makes it so hard because if someone comes at you, you don't have the time to react nearly.
Completely, yeah. And also like even just in terms of the setup, like by the time the rider starts edging into the wake, they're going so fast that you're not going to catch up with them. So you almost need to be like a little bit ahead and then kind of like float it in and catch them just at the right moment. And yeah, it definitely takes a lot of practice. And I noticed even like when I first got out here, which was like about 2 weeks ago now, I was super rusty because in the meantime, September was the last time that I filmed anything behind the boat. So there was like a big gap there. So definitely took a couple of days to like get back into it, but now I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty stoked on what I'm getting. And the cool thing is as well, I guess like I've shot a lot of cable and I'm still definitely getting better, but like that progression is a bit slower. Same as riding. Like when when you first start riding and you're just like nailing tricks like left, right, and center, and you're getting 5 new tricks a day or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, it gets progressively more difficult to attain
Absolutely.
that. Like
You're
you're
just
not
gonna
going
have
to go out
annoyed a
that
load of people there. You just said when you learn 5 new tricks a day, people are gonna be like, "What?" But no, I know what you mean. Like the marginal gain as you go up is just so much. Like you go, it kind of levels out a little bit.
Completely, yeah. You start to like plateau or whatever, and like with the boat, that curve of progression for me flying is like still, it's still going up so much. So it's like from day to day, I'm seeing like how much it's improving, which is sick. It's another thing to get stoked about.
Yeah, and so obviously you've gone cable boat, and you said you did bits of kiting and a bits of snowboarding. Do you think you'll go into completely different sports, or like in the future?
I mean, I'd like to. I really enjoy it. Like I say, I used to be a free skier, and I've always like been a fan of snowboarding. So I'd really like to shoot more of that stuff. That was honestly part of the plan for this winter, was to actually like get back and go out into the mountains and shoot a bit of stuff. But obviously, this whole situation has kind of like completely changed my plans and everyone's plans, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to do more of. The kite side of it is really fun as well. I've done a bunch of stuff with Sam Light, who also shreds on the cable as well.
I was actually talking to him really recently about the podcast stuff. Funny enough, actually. But yeah, no, he's like sick on both a wakeboard and a kite, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it must be hard though, because there's obviously going to be a lot of wind with kiting.
For sure, yeah. It's definitely another challenge, but then there's different aspects to it. You can sort of like boost way up in the air and catch the kite. A lot of like for the commercial stuff, especially like the companies want to see like that kite like shooting past and like nice scenic backdrop and stuff like that. But at the same time, you can kind of drop down, and especially with the freestyle stuff, and also foiling where they're going like a little bit slower. I can do the same kind of stuff as on the cable, and it starts to feel like pretty much the same. But then you've also got that added challenge of like the kite lines could literally go anywhere, like if the rider falls, it's not like the cable where exactly where it is and it's not moving. Like it could fully, just like come around and swing straight into you. So different challenges, but that's what I enjoy, like I just love flying the thing, and any kind of like, anytime I get taken out of my comfort zone, like I really enjoy that for sure.
Yeah. And how do you think, what do you think like the kind of prosperity, because you know a lot more like to the inside of like, where do you think commercially, where could it go? Like, do you reckon you could get to doing like events like the X Games and stuff? Is that like a goal, or is it just kind of?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to do that. Like that would be the dream. And yeah, I'm going to like hopefully sort of work towards that, but it's definitely difficult within the wakeboard world now. Like I feel like at least know enough people and have put enough work out there that kind of like those doors are kind of open. Whereas with snowboarding, like I kind of taken that as an example. Like I would need to completely start from scratch. Like I'm reasonably knowledgeable about snowboarding, but like I don't know anyone kind of like in the industry or whatever, and I haven't really like.
But you did 4 years ago in wakeboarding, so it's like like in 4 years time you could so easily and like from my understanding it's similar to wakeboarding in the fact that like the whole sport is a small close community that once you kind of get in, knock down the door with 1 or 2 people, you should be the whole way in.
Yeah,
sick.
Yeah. So watch this space, I guess. But
probably don't watch this space. Watch X Games space. Have you flown much with the Inspires as well?
Yeah, I've done a bit. So like I've also done a bunch of like more commercial work, I guess like TV and like adverts and that sort of thing. And for some of those jobs, like I'll use an Inspire. But when it comes to the wakeboarding, I mean, taking it back to like, one of the big things, talking about like potentially hitting riders. Like I say, I pride myself on not doing that. But if you did hit someone with an Inspire, that's going to do a lot more damage than what I'm flying. So that's one thing, is safety. Like especially when you're getting as close as I am to the rider, it's like it becomes a little bit risky. And the other thing is, it's just kind of not necessary. Like with a big drone like that, they're faster, but they're also like a little bit less maneuverable. So I feel like, yeah, something like the Mavic or the Phantom is kind of perfect for wakeboarding already. Like,
Yeah.
there's no real need to, like, unless, you know, like the cool thing is you can put, you know, cine lenses on it, and you can have like a, you know, a much bigger sensor. So yeah, the footage is higher quality, but I feel like, you know, I'm happy with the stuff that I'm putting out. And I've even, you know, I've done stuff that's gone out on TV that's been shot with the Phantom. So it's not like it's lacking in image quality, you know?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's mad. I don't know. You're talking about the blades hitting yourselves. One time, this is like 2 years ago, another one of my crashes. No, you'll be glad to know the drone was not damaged in this experience, but I was. So I was like doing a barbecue, and I was at like my parents' house, and it's like near the lake, and it was like a lovely evening, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a cool drone shot of me like doing the barbecue, and then like I'm gonna reverse it back up away, and it's gonna look sick. But instead of reversing, I just drove straight into my back. And I fully just cut open my back. It wasn't like I didn't need stitches or anything, but like there was a little bit of blood, and I was like, oh my God, like that hurts so much more than I expected. So yeah, I can imagine getting one to the face if you're riding. It's not going to be.
I'd love to see a video like your top 10 drone crashes.
You'd be glad to know I delete all footage. It's so bad. I've done. What else did I do recently? Like, I didn't crash it. I was doing one recently. It was just like, it was actually like a commercial video, I'm gonna say, like not really like commercial, but like it was a job I was doing, and they just wanted like one drone shot of like, it was like a building, and I just hit a tree, but thankfully it like, sometimes you know it hits it and then it levels out after a while, so I got away with it. But yeah, that was only like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, there's been some hairy moments. The first one I ever got, I bought it, and the next day I flew to Bali. And then like 2 or 3 days into the cable riding at Bali, and you know, you've been to Bali, have you? The water's like so salty. And so I had it like kind of like, I think I was on my own filming. I can't really remember. So I like put it behind like the kicker or something like that. And it was all good. But then basically the rope of like another person, they hit the kicker or something, and their rope just took it out, like the rope between the carrier and the handle, and just took it out, sunk to the bottom. One of the guys there swam and got it, but like I was like rinsing in the shower, but it was just, there was no point saving it.
You're pretty much, when it goes into salt water, there's not really much hope at that point, unfortunately.
Do you think they'll do waterproof ones?
I mean, there's been a couple of Kickstarters which have all kind of like fizzled out, where they were like, you know, saying, oh yeah, we've got this fantastic drone, it's going to be waterproof, it's, you know, it's brilliant, it's the next big thing. And yeah, they've all kind of quietly disappeared, which is...
What was that, the Libby or something? Was that one? What was that?
Yeah, I forget the names now. I can think of a couple of them. But yeah, there was, and they were showing like, you know, they threw it in a lake and then like flew it out. I mean, in theory, it's possible. The problem is that like, if you seal everything up, you know, if you think about your phone, it's all like sealed to be waterproof, but then like it's very difficult to like get rid of the heat. And obviously with motors that are spinning that fast and all the, you know, the computer chips that are running the camera and everything, heat is a real issue with drones. So like trying to get something that's water sealed and that's going to be, you know, that's not going to melt basically is like a really technical challenge. So, I mean, maybe we'll get to that point sometime in the future, but yeah, at the moment it's definitely difficult to do.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Yeah, I can't imagine, but yeah, I'm sure it'll go. Who knows where it'll go? What are your plans now then? Are you, has John been going? You're saying you're staying with him. Has he been going out in the boat as well?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. We've been out a couple of times the last few days, and he's ripping, man. Honestly, we're both on our cable boards.
I did see a video of him, and I just sparked him. So he was doing toe side, but I just realised you've posted a few Insta clips, but I haven't seen you hit that wake toe side yet.
I've done it. I've actually done it. So like by the time this goes out, in fact, I just need to grab the clips of John. But yeah, I managed to do like regular, like I did a line like regular toe side, switch toe side, and yeah, it's difficult, man. Like the difference between like, you know, just doing a 180 or like even like doing like a toe 3 or something versus just doing toe side straight air, like it's tough. Like yeah.
So switch toe side. Sorry.
Are you gonna do one? I don't think I've seen you do it either.
Yeah. I can do switch toe side.
I need to see the evidence, man.
I'm sure I can find it somewhere. I'll have to look for it though. But I know I definitely do. I think I've done a video where I did like I try do all my tricks switch and toes, switch and regular. Oh no, yeah, that wouldn't make sense. I don't know. I have to work on that. That's something I want to do. Is like a video you spoke about doing switch and regular. Like I've wanted to do, because I'd say I can do like 80%, maybe even more of everything both ways. It's only when you get to like doing like heel nines, like I can only really do them switch. I've done regular ones, but not consistent. But yeah, like and then whirlies as well. I can do switch tantrum. Think I've done switch tantrum to blind. Never switch Moby Dick and never switch whirly. I think switch whirly just doesn't program in my head. Harley does like whirly dicks back to back.
Fair. Yeah, that's crazy. Like really crazy. Like I've done on the cable, I've done like both Moby Dicks, but yeah, I'm not anywhere near doing that on the boat. I mean, Graham just messaged me and said like, oh, you or left a comment saying I want to see like both tantrum to blinds in a line now. So yeah, so that's kind of the goal. I think like while I'm out here, I'm just gonna try and like do all the basic inverts behind the boat, and then yeah, I've done all the threes already. So like pretty happy with that. Well, except no, I haven't done like toe back yet. That's okay. Still that's okay. Yeah. I gotta work on that one. So yeah. I've got a lot to work with while we're on lockdown. So yeah, hopefully
I'd love to go back and learn, like, because now you come from being able to do it on the cable. So like you said, you can learn 5 tricks a day maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's the really cool thing is like, you know, I've got at least that grounding and like, you know, being able to pass the handle and, you know, having like done the flips and everything. Like the first time cutting in to try and do a tantrum, like, oh my god, like, well, both of them like switch and reg. Like I was just thinking, how is this going to work? Because it's, you know, you like, as I understand it, you're getting like tripped up by the wake as well, right? You're sort of like, you know, you're squaring off, and that is very different to how you do it on the cable. So it's like, I know my body, once I'm in the air, can do the right thing, and I can pretty much just do that on muscle memory. But like cutting into that wake and then just like turning my back to it, like I was terrified, dude. I honestly did not expect it to work out at all, but like luckily got them pretty quick. So yeah, I'm hoping like as long as I can get that edge into the wake. And the thing I'm really struggling with at the moment is pop. I think like, yeah, partly like, I mean, not having fins probably doesn't help, but also like it's so much technique, you know, like trying to edge all the way.
What line length are you on?
I've been reading on 70 at the moment.
That's pretty good then. So yeah, that's what you need to do.
Fair. And I don't know, like I'd like to go longer, but at the moment, like I'm sort of like, I'm just comfortably like getting wake to wake every time. So I don't know if that's like the right idea yet.
Well, the reason I asked is because if you're on a really short line, sometimes the wake hasn't like fully formed. So then you don't get, like, it's like having a mellow kicker as opposed to a steep kicker. But like 70, I mean, I would openly reckon that I ride 72 and a half feet on 95% of boats. Sometimes it mixes up. But I reckon most pros would be between will probably be 72, between 70 and 75. Very few ride longer. Oh, maybe the old school guys would be like 80 feet, but it's just so much work and it just feels weird. Because I bet you find, do you find like the rope kind of pulls you down as opposed to the cable where it pulls you up?
For sure, yeah, and that's like going blind is where like I really noticed that. Like, I've been like, my favorite thing at the moment is going funny wrap. So doing like, say like hill front three or whatever, and like it feels so gangster when you come down, like, you know, down that tranny and you're like facing into the wake, and it just like, it feels really cool. But like the first few times trying that, it was like so hard because I've got so used to the pool being like up here. And suddenly it's like dragging me down into the water, and it feels totally different, but like starting to get used to it now.
Yeah, it can be so much, like if you land on that down ramp, it's so soft and so nice, but then if you don't, it's like agony. It can mess you it can mess you up. Have you had many? Because I've seen some bad spills that you've had in the cable. Have you had any on the boat?
Actually, not too bad. No, I had one. When I was just trying the tantrums, which was only yesterday. I had one where I kind of like ended up taking a back edge, and I think like everyone on the boat, like they came over like, dude, you okay? But it felt fine. I think like by this point I've mostly got used to kind of like how to how to deal with it. But I'm sure I'll have like a gnarly slam at some point soon, because the speed is
fingers crossed not.
I mean, I don't see there's any way I'm getting out of it, but yeah, like you just got to resign yourself to it's going to happen at some point. You know, hopefully it's not too bad. But I mean, Yeah, like definitely boat crashes are the worst. I watched your one of these with the peacocks the other day,
Yeah.
and you guys are talking about, you know, like what's worse, like boat or cable, but for sure it's boat, like 100%. Like,
Yeah, but it
and
was what we mentioned there, which I thought it was a good point. I can't remember who made it. That I think it was maybe Ryan. But like, if you fall on a cable on an obstacle, you're gonna cause yourself like maybe more damage for sure. Like, as in, because you're more likely to like break a bone or like get a head injury or a spinal injury or
true,
something.
true.
But on the boat, you're more likely to put yourself in a lot more pain in the moment. As in, like,
Yeah.
that, like when you get a back edge, a bad back edge, and people, if anyone's listening to this who's kind of like, let's say, beginner to intermediate, at that point, for some reason, we always think face plants are the worst. But I don't know about you, but I'd take 10 face plants over one bad back edge.
Completely, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, completely. Like the worst one is like nose edge. I remember like the worst edge that I've ever taken was like when I was trying toe Rayleighs for the first time, and it was like I got to the point where I was doing them, and I just got to that comfortable stage where I was like, I felt confident about it, but I still wasn't that good. And I did one and just kind of like half-assed it, I guess, and just fully like just, you know, like nose pick straight into the water, and like my vision went like green and purple. Like I'm not even joking, like everything was the wrong color, like the horizon was off in one eye, so it's like
oh
everything was
god.
kind of like tilted. I was like, dude, I've got brain damage, like this is bad. But yeah, that's the only time on the cable that I've had something that bad. But like boat, I've had like, yeah, when I first started out, like man, I took so many bad. But back edges are definitely worse than front edges for sure.
Yeah,
Because it's like, because then you spend like a week just like unable to move, you know. Like at least with the
yeah.
front edge, you can kind of, you can see it and you can do something like put a hand down or whatever, and you're not gonna like smash your back up too much. So
Or your
yeah.
neck, you don't damage your neck in it as much. I don't know, or on the front edge. Do you know? I actually heard it. So like, this is definitely not scientifically speaking, but it's like kind of bro science. That wakeboarding and like on water sports, where you're taking like barefooting, for example, where you're taking a lot of bad crashes, it increases your chance or decreases your chance of getting whiplash in a car accident. True
No
story.
way.
Yeah, because you're
Wow.
more used to it. So I actually know someone who's in a really bad car crash, like an older guy as well, and they were so surprised, like, because he broke his neck and everything, and they were so surprised basically that he was okay almost. And long story short, the doctors put it down to he did like 40 years of just like, he was a barefooter of just being like boom 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 boom.
Yeah.
So he's like just really strong muscles. So maybe I've been in a bad car crash, and it was like, I had nothing. So maybe these back edges that I've taken all these years are paying off.
Just already had whiplash so many times. It's like
Just
your body's just
immune.
like, whatever.
I'm actually not immune to it. I'm still kind of suffering from it from a few months ago, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it really. So nothing else really. So you're just going to be out there enjoying life. Is it hot?
Yeah, at the moment it's a bit cooler today. It's a little bit windy at the moment, so yeah, probably just gonna chill out today, and then hopefully ride tomorrow if it gets good. But in general, yeah, it's been really nice weather. The cool thing as well is like last time I was out here, it was hurricane season, so like,
Yeah.
you know, the obviously Expo got cancelled, and yeah, there was a lot of panic about that for a start, but also the whole time I was filming, it was just super windy. Did an edit with Graham out here, and it turned out, I mean, you know, from his side, like, you know, anytime you film with Graham, it's going to be like crazy good. But like the filming just was not like on point, just because it was gale force winds the entire time, and
Yeah.
yeah, it makes it difficult. So it's been so nice to come out now, and it's just like most days like super still on the lake, like really easy to film, and yeah, nice and glassy. So yeah, I'm just gonna my flight home just got cancelled actually. I had a flight home with Norwegian, and that's just been cancelled. So yeah,
When are you
cheers
supposed
guys.
to come back?
I was supposed to come back in about a month,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean honestly, like if I'm just gonna see what the situation is like back home, but because I would like to get home at some point. Yeah, I've not been home in like what 7 or 8 months now, so
Oh my
it's been a
god,
while.
no. Yeah, it's
Um,
awful.
but yeah, so I'd like to get back at some point, but realistically, like if there's no competitions going on, and there's, you know, unless there's projects like back in Europe or whatever, yeah, try and
I
stay out
wonder
here
how
for a
that's going
while.
to work. for visas, like for people, let's say, who've been there for 2 months now and they're trying to go home but they can't, or like they're gonna have to
Yeah.
extend it or something.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I've got you get 3 months if you're like
Yeah,
coming from the UK. You get like with the Easter, but yeah, I think that's going to be like a huge problem because yeah, I mean,
yeah,
what do you like? And I haven't even checked yet about like whether I can get another flight or how horrendously expensive that's going to be or anything. So
yeah.
I should really start looking into that at some point. But
I was supposed to be coming over in like a few days. What is it, 9th of April? I was supposed to be coming in exactly 5 days. I'm raging. And you just reminded me I need to change that flight because that it hasn't officially been cancelled actually.
right, yeah,
Well, I presume it has actually. I don't know. Yeah, because you can't fly from across. So I just haven't got an email about it. I think I have to apply. I don't know. But yeah,
oh,
so
that's,
just
that's
so
in that,
annoying.
man. It would have been dope to film with you. Like
I know
it's
I was coming for a few weeks as well. I was so excited, and believe it or not, this flight I originally booked for last September, and I was supposed to go, but it got cancelled because of the hurricane. So I rescheduled it for
right.
now because I was like, April's a good time to go.
Yeah.
It's always good weather in April, so I went in
Oh
April,
man.
and then yeah, so this flight's just going to keep knocking on.
Just cursed with it. No,
Yeah,
I hope you'll manage to get out soon. I mean, like, yeah, it's I know so many people like filmers, writers, whatever that are supposed to be coming out here that haven't been able to, and it's like, yeah, it's going from that perspective. Like,
yeah,
I feel so lucky that like, I mean, partly like I just when I booked the flight out here, I was like, I need to do this ASAP. Like, I just need to get out there before they close the borders, anything like that. And luckily made it here. But yeah, I definitely feel lucky that I managed to get in.
yeah.
Dude, it was crazy. Like the funniest thing about coming in, right, was the like the security checks. This is actually like seriously concerning. But like, you know, I turned up to America half expecting just to be turned away. You know, they hadn't like because I was coming from the Philippines, like it wasn't on their list of like, you know, restricted countries. But I thought I've been all around Asia for like the last few months. Like I'm gonna turn up and they're gonna see that in my details and they're just gonna be like, yeah, nah, like get
Yeah,
out. And I thought, well, you know, whatever, I'll take a chance. Like worst case, they deport me back to the UK, I get a free flight home, right? So I turn up like fully expecting to be turned away. And I went through like the border check and everything. They do all the usual stuff. They take the passport, blah blah blah. And the full extent of the checks for like you know, getting into the country, the guy goes, "So are you feeling well?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm feeling well." I was like, "Right, go right through."
wow,
And I
that's
was like, you
crazy.
know, like from a personal perspective, I was stoked. I was like, "Yes, I've made it! Like I've actually managed to get into America." And I thought about it. I was like, "That's kind of scary. Like if
Yeah,
that's all they're doing, to screen bit like no temperature check, no nothing. Like they
I
just
know.
just let
Well,
you right in."
I know. Like last week, I knew someone who was on a flight from New York, which is like one of the epicenters now in the world, to Dublin,
Mm.
and there was 153 people on the flight, and then they just landed, and they're like, "Okay, self isolate for 2 weeks." So, but like, what's to say those people don't just go straight out and like go see all like they haven't been home in a few months, go see their grandpa? Like, you're
Yeah,
completely putting your trust in people, which I don't know, seems a bit
sure.
foolish, but yeah, because they don't. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, is McDonald's still open there?
Yeah, yeah, but most of the restaurants are still open, so
Well,
it's
enjoy that. I'm a bit jealous. We have none here.
oh, dude, yeah, the food out here is sick. Like I've been eating a lot of Chipotle and
Yeah,
Popeyes and all that good stuff. So
Panera
I'm
bread,
definitely trying
10 out of 10.
out.
Panera, hit up Panera. John will know I love Panera.
Sick, sick.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's sick.
no, I've been eating well for sure. That's why I need to keep riding boat just to keep the weight down. You know, like,
That's it. I've literally created a gym in my apartment at this like in
oh,
the
so yeah.
last few
So,
days.
so what,
Got
what what is it
rowing
like for you,
machine.
man? Like, sick.
It's
Are
pretty
you fully
boring.
like? Yeah, yeah, I can imagine, dude.
We're
Like,
full like yeah no, so we're fully we're set like self ice or we're locked down. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't say that. So we're locked down, so we can't go further than 2 kilometers. We can only go for one walk a day. Now today, so yesterday the police actually got like what's the I don't know. They can now effectively arrest you or fine you
right,
€2,500 if you're outside your like area, and they're enforcing it big time. So today, like on all the main like highways and motorways, they have like checkpoints, like it's standstill checkpoints. I've been through a few just locally, but yeah, so it's pretty. You don't like, but I think there's like here. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but in Ireland, like people kind of have pretty good respect for it. So like they're
yeah,
like I haven't really seen anyone in like probably 3 weeks, nearly 2 weeks anyway. Well, 2 full weeks, and then nearly 3 weeks at this stage. Um, but it's fine. It's boring, but like it's good. It's got to happen for it to go, and
Yeah.
it'll be fun. You can still go to the supermarket. You can still like order takeaway. You can like you're not like it's not ideal, but it's not. If you live near the sea or something, and likewise, if you lived in somewhere where the lake is, you could just go ride. Nothing to stop you. If like completely, if you lived on a lake with a boat, you could ride every day. It'd be perfect. But yeah, it just sucks from like a business point of view. Like all the work and stuff's dried up, but such is life. We'll be okay.
It's gonna be an interesting year, man, for sure. Like, I might have to get a real job again for a little while, but
hopefully not.
it won't come to.
We'll see what happens. But I mean, I think at the same time, it's gonna hopefully fuel the fire of like of going out wakeboarding. When we get to go out, we'll be so excited for it. And then, and the other thing is, I heard like there's a dealer in Orlando. I think it's called Tommy Boats Sales or something like that. But apparently they had like one of their best months ever just there, like in March, because at the end everyone was like, lockdown's coming, let's go buy boats. And then like at the same time, it's not ideal, but if people are doing that, then that's great for the sport. It's the best thing we can do.
Sure.
So who knows? Anyway, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much, Dave, for your time. And,
no worries, man. Good chat to you.
You too. So as you can see, an interesting perspective on things, and Dave's an absolute gent. Been filming with him now for probably 4 years, because the first time I ever filmed him was literally before he even really did this. So thank you so much to Dave for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, let us know what other guests you'd like to see. And I had one other thing there, but I can't remember it. Oh, there was a little bit of audio blipping on my side. Don't know what that's about, because I do have a good mic now, so I'll try and figure that out for the next one. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.